idea is that if we can get used to talking about these things in an environment that feels warm and friendly and life-giving, that the process of becoming the best version of ourselves will feel less stressful and more like second nature. So that's kind of the idea behind the approach here. What I really love about the approach, and many of you have heard me speak and write about this before, but everyone's personal recipes are so uniquely different and so uniquely delicious, which is awesome. And it's just kind of like the way that you can whip up so many different types of dishes from the same 5 ingredients. Mm-hmm. We have 5 ingredients that we talk about at Pepperologie. They're up here on the board. You're welcome to take a peek at this incredible piece of art done by Gina, who's one of our usual ladies who comes, and she really helped to put my vision into a visual kind of display here in this piece, and I'm just so grateful to have it. But the 5 ingredients that we talk about are creativity, connections, community, career, and corpus. As you probably have seen, today we're talking about career, the career ingredient. And really, you know, the idea is that everyone will prioritize these 5 things differently, and it's all up to you. And your interpretation really ends up determining what your flavorful life tastes like. So that's what's kind of fun about it. All right, without further ado, I want to actually ask you to think about some things while we're chatting today. Mainly, as I was thinking about designing a dream career, I realized that what we do for a living comes up a lot, obviously, in day-to-day conversations with other people. I mean, when was the last time that someone asked, what do you do? Probably maybe today, this morning, if you met someone new. That's like a very common next question past your name. And I think that's okay. I think that, you know, it's interesting to me, though, because it does seem like we start to associate ourselves so strongly with our career. I definitely don't think there's anything wrong with that, because if we're doing something that we love, that's a huge part of ourselves. And so that's an important thing to learn when you're getting to know somebody. And so what we do for a living is definitely a part of us. Obviously, you got to pay the bills, right? But I think with the huge movement that we're seeing towards women killing it in the workplace and at home, which is awesome, there's so much emphasis placed on the doing. What do you do for a living? And so as I was thinking more about our theme for this month, I really am compelled to say that designing your dream career should be an actual combination of what you do and who you want to be. So that's something that I'd ask you to think about just as we're chatting today, because you know, I want it to be inspiring for you that may be trying to design your dream career, or maybe already are doing your dream career. But I also want you to understand that there's just as much importance as the person that you want to be, and maybe even obviously more so than actually what you are doing, though the two are woven so closely together. So keep that in mind, and let's jump right in to Miss Cyndie Spiegel. She is a Brooklyn-based small business consultant, coach, and speaker. She specializes in strategy for creative entrepreneurs. Thank goodness. Her motivational coaching and strategy sessions have inspired creative startups, independent entrepreneurs, and luxury designers alike, and she helps them develop extraordinary businesses and lives. Before she launched her current practice, she spent 15 years on the business side of New York's fashion industry. So fabulous. She's also an adjunct professor at Parsons School of Design and FIT here in the city, where she teaches students how to passionately navigate life, fashion, and business in an ever-changing creative world. She is wildly devoted to yoga, so we share that as well. She loves a bold lip color. Okay, that's thing 2. And she loves supporting others to fearlessly follow their dreams. Thing 3, funny enough, we actually don't know each other all that well, so this is kind of fun because you're seeing our friendship flourish before your very eyes, but I have a feeling it's going to be a fast and easy one because we share so many of the same things in our vision. So thank you for being here. Let's give Cyndie a round of applause. I'm just so excited that you're here. Like I said, you know, obviously we don't know each other all that well, so this will be fun. I may have little questions here. And as I'm chatting with Cyndie, you all know if you've been here before, but if you haven't been, I love hearing your questions throughout the time that we talk. So throw up a hand, shout it out. We're a very interactive group here, so don't be shy, and let us know if you have anything that you want to hear from Cyndie. So first of all, you know, I mentioned a little bit, you started in a fairly traditional role within the corporate fashion industry. And I would love to hear from you if, looking back, you can identify either a moment or a specific catalyst that compelled you to kind of step away from that path.
Yes, there were actually 2, so this was 2-pronged for me. I was working for Coach for a long time, doing product development, merchandising, and then product development. And I didn't realize this until looking back on it, but I was actually seeking a lot while I was in the business side of fashion. I had gone back to school while I was in fashion to get an international business degree, and then at some point along the way, I decided to become a yoga and meditation teacher. Not to do that
Perfect.
as a career, but why not, right? You have a job, you become a yoga teacher. But I think what that did for me was really put me in a place to explore myself.
Interesting.
And where I was in my life. And I think I was talking to Cyndie, wherever she is, earlier today, and just saying, hey, you know, oftentimes women, we think we're on these paths and we have to stay on those paths forever. So I studied fashion, I had done global business. There was that part of me that felt like, I don't love what I do, but it's good, it's fine. So I should do this forever. And then, you know, during the yoga teacher training, I think they ask major questions when you're training to be a yoga teacher.
Yeah, which I actually have also done and had a lot of major realizations throughout that time as well. 2 follow-up questions. One is, how did you fit that in with your full-time job?
You know,
like logistics? Anyone?
You know what? I had a very supportive mentor and boss, and I had an incredible team reporting into me. And they were very supportive. And
so did you take time off? Oh,
no,
weekends. Okay.
But I did take time off to go to graduate school because I studied in Paris and Hong Kong, and they were incredibly supportive. My team just took care of business.
Well, that's convenient.
It's very, very,
that's
very
fantastic.
convenient. Yeah.
So, when you were learning all of the components of yoga, would you feel like there was perhaps a connection between the mind-body part of that fed into you looking more deeply into where you wanted to take your career, or not really?
No, I do. And there was
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I know for some people that does connect.
You're absolutely right. And I think one of the biggest questions for me that still I get goosebumps when I hear this, and this happened in a tiny studio in Union Square, and the question was, who are you without the titles? So who are you if you're not a mother, you're not a wife, you're not a daughter, you're not someone's girlfriend, you're not whatever your title is? Like, who are you? That was intense.
That's such a good question. I actually have a hard time with that one because I always feel like I'm trying to find what column do I fit in, or what bucket. And it's who are you? And that actually, I didn't even know you were going to say that, but that's interesting because it is kind of, what do you do versus who do you want to be, or who are you?
Exactly.
And it's interesting that that's cool that's how it kind of came to front of mind for you. Did you know the answer to the question right off the bat?
We're closer.
You're closer.
No, I don't think we ever know. I think it's one of those questions that we never actually know, but we know when we're on the right path. We never arrive, and that's a whole other thing I learned from sort of practicing and becoming a teacher. We're never there. We're never there. There is no answer. But you know what you know who you are.
So then how soon after that moment did you leave your full-time job, or did you know what you were going to do?
No, I wish I had it so clearly laid out. No, so my mom's in New Jersey, and I was in New Jersey over dinner on a Sunday, and I was like, I think I'm going to quit my job. Now my mom's like, keep a job, make sure you have another job, but my mom just went, okay, well if you're not happy, then leave. And I was like, holy shit!
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Oh my god! So the next day I went into work and I gave my notice. I had no plan. I had nothing.
That was my next question.
Rumor spread that I was quitting fashion to be a yoga teacher. Not true.
Did you teach? Did you ever teach?
I did. And then the funny thing was I spent the next 3 months, because I gave 3 months notice, fighting this thing that I was going to become a yoga teacher. I wasn't doing that. And then I came back to coach as a yoga teacher.
Oh my gosh, that's like
a corporate yoga teacher.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh, our journeys are so weirdly similar. Not at Coach, but just
not
bizarre that
would have been very similar.
Yeah, when we were living in the Midwest. It's just funny. I did not know this about you, but that's amazing.
Oh, and by the way, I'm going to see her in a few days. We're going to Texas together.
Yeah, we're speaking next weekend at an event together, which is so fun. Are you going to be there too? Oh my gosh, we need to talk about that. Okay. Anyone else?
Anybody else?
Yes, okay, that's
yoga.
Really perfect. Yeah, but she is teaching yoga at this event that we're going to.
Teaching yoga.
So we've talked a little bit about this earlier, and I know that some of you may have heard me speak before or right before about finding your golden comb. I'll give a quick refresher because I really want to hear what Cyndie brings to the table as her golden comb. So I believe that everyone has something that is really just uniquely theirs that they add to everything that they do. The reason I call it a golden comb is because I have a very, very fabulous hairstylist who is in Brooklyn. If anyone needs a gal to cut their hair, she's incredible. Her name is Ruby. And she cuts my hair and styles my hair, and she uses a golden comb. And I've never seen one before I started going to her, and I remember just feeling like it added such flair and pizzazz to what she did. And I know it's just a regular comb. I asked her, I said, what is the deal with this thing? Does it work any differently? And she was like, no, I just think it looks cool. But I'm like, okay, that is the best ever, because I felt like she was working some magic on my hair with like this little golden wand that was just a cool comb, that I went and bought one online, because I'm like, I want this great hairstyle every day. Unfortunately, it doesn't actually work that way. I think the comb has to be in the hands of someone who knows what they're doing. But that's the point, is she's got this golden comb, and it's just her thing. She uses it to the best of her ability. And so your golden comb is whatever you bring to the table in whatever you're doing, whether you're mothering, whether you're working, whether you're yogaing, whether you're walking the dog. You can pull it in anywhere. I don't know that I necessarily have one, because I have a few things that I really like to bring to the table. One of mine, I think, is connecting with women through storytelling. So that's an example, if that helps. It's just whatever you think is your own little special flair that you bring into all of your interactions. Mm-hmm. So Cyndie, what's your golden comb?
Oh, God. Well, there are a few. One of them I think is really about empowering women, but it's empowering women in a way that is ruthlessly honest. Now, I know that sounds terrible. It's another yoga term that's like ruthlessly, looking at yourself, but very, very honest, but at the same time, incredibly uplifting and supportive. I truly, truly believe, and anyone who's worked with me will tell you this, I believe that anyone can do anything, and I know how cliche that sounds, but I absolutely believe it, and I think for the women that I work with or women that I'm friends with, they know it to be true. And so there's this ruthless honesty, but it's
a realism,
an absolute realism that I'm incredibly passionate about, but it's always done with empathy and love.
That's such a great combo right there. And it's actually, I think that I've already seen that expressed in yourself, but I think that is so challenging to find a combo of those things, because we want to be uplifting, we want to encourage one another, but we also don't want it to be fake. Right. And we want it to feel real, and but we also, the reality component, I think, is important as well. Yeah. So I love that. That's a good one. One of the things that we're going to do actually at the very end is I'm going to leave you with a few prompts that as we mingle and head out the door together, I'll encourage you to share some of these things with each other. And so be thinking about your own golden comb, because I think that not only identifying it, but then sharing it with each other is such a great way for us to get in the habit of playing to our strengths. Not just recognizing them, but then sharing them out loud. So that'll be one of the things. And we've got some fabulous little notepads and pens from Poppin that are all different colors. Everyone can take a pen and a notebook on their way out the door. And feel free to write that down, or write about it later if you'd like. But that's one I'd love everyone to think about what their golden comb is. I'd love to hear what comes to mind when you hear me say, who do you want to be?
That's one of those life questions.
I know.
No, so who do I want to be?
And just say it like, I want to be, I
want to be a rock star. No, that's not true. That's not true.
Hey, new career change, all right.
And she's off.
Yeah.
No, what I hope to be is luckily the path that I think that I'm on, which is incredibly honest and forthright, but also empowering. One of the things that I tell women that I work with, and also, again, friends, is do not apologize for who you are. Be unapologetic about being a woman.
Can you give me an example?
Yeah, women say sorry a lot.
That's true.
Did
anyone read that article? There was an article recently that was all about saying how many times a day women say we're sorry. And actually, now that I read that, I find myself I was sneaking by, I had to turn sideways to get past somebody at the gym the other day, and I blurted out, "Oh, sorry," and realized
I didn't do anything.
I didn't do anything, and I should have just said "pardon me" or "excuse me" or something. But yeah.
So there's So Suave, I think.
That's what it was.
I actually had to post
Is it a video?
Yeah. I'll send it to you, but it's on my blog too. Amazing.
I'll share. If you send me the link, I'll share it in our recap.
Sure. Okay. Just about our interactions, and I
think that's what I'm thinking of.
That is all of us as women, or it's just people that might not have the whole situation that we're
Right.
into mastered completely.
Right.
You know, which is a normal occurrence because we're all when you're in a collaborative
Yeah.
environment, you're not really sure where you stand or if your voice is important enough, or you're questioning yourself as you're going on your journey. And oh my gosh, it was the best. It brought tears
It's
to my
good.
eyes.
It's great. It's worth watching for sure. And I also think it's interesting. We spoke last month with Tootie, who's here, Sarah, about all about body image. Well, not all about it, but that came up. And I even think it's interesting how often we apologize for our appearance.
Exactly. Sorry, I'm
and
just
like
coming
showing
from
up.
yoga.
Yeah,
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah.
And I do it too. But so I think that like having, unapologetic being something that you would strive for is a cool way to put that.
And also, Jessie, sorry not to cut you off, but one of the things I think is really important too is that we as women are unapologetic to each other. Now that doesn't mean, and I swear a lot, so I'll try not to. That doesn't mean being an asshole, but what that means is being really honest with one another and supporting and uplifting one another. So rather than saying sorry for things, like say, Jessie, I didn't mean to offend you if that was a thing that happened, but let's talk about it. Like, let's have communication. But let's not apologize for every small thing that we do because we're not necessarily sorry. We want to explain ourselves.
Yeah, there's a difference. I think you're right.
Let's
sorry
open
is
up
what we
those
jump to
lines.
first. That's great.
Right.
So, all right, so we talked a little bit about the realism, and that's actually perfect because that's one of my questions is that I love that you bring that as a healthy dose into your coaching clients and everything you do. Your writing, I've seen, and some of the pieces that you've written. Really, I think because there are so many risks and there is a lot of fear associated with following those big dreams, right? And so I'm wondering, would you feel comfortable sharing something that freaks you out? What are you afraid of right now?
Right. Nothing. No. So I founded something called the Collective of Us, which is a group of women entrepreneurs from now around the world who get together, and it's all about strategy and collaborating and helping uplift one another.
Sounds like nothing any of us would like, right?
But one of the things, we're now 6 months into it, and one of my biggest fears, and I suppose it's kind of even embarrassing to admit this because I'm supposed to be a leader, but one of my biggest fears is letting them down, by not being 100% available. And I have a partner, and I have friendships, and I have a life, but there is this part of me, especially in the social media world, where I'm like, every time somebody has a question, I should answer it right away. Every time somebody has something to say or a fear, I should respond to it right away. So there's this real balance of, if I go away long enough and don't respond to anybody for a week, am I somehow letting them down and not holding up my part of the bargain?
Yeah, I think letting others down is a scary feeling, no matter what you're doing. I think we could probably all relate to that at least a little bit. That's actually another thing that I think I would love for you gals to share with each other as you're chatting at the end. So in addition to the golden comb, what that being, what are you most proud of about yourself? What accomplishments? What characteristics? Share a fear or two as well. When I was thinking of our theme for this month and really wanting to process through, what it means to follow a dream career, or what it means to design a dream career, or dig into a dream career. What does that look like? Does a dream career exist? A really good friend of mine actually wrote an article like last week, or this past week, or the one before, that there's no such thing. And I actually understood what she was saying in this piece, but I really feel like it is possible. I think it's just, we know we're always on kind of a continual journey. And so my little slogan that kept running through my mind that I'd be happy to share maybe in the recap email is basically sharing your successes, cutting out the fear, and digging into your dream career are kind of the three sort of, not steps, but just the progression of how I see it being possible. So those are some of the things that, we can continue to think and chat about if you guys are interested. So now I just want to know, a sort of a fun question, purely out of curiosity. What is your favorite way to add flavor to your life? We have got, we've got these foundations that we talk about. Really, we're a kind of holistic lifestyle brand. We love everything from, food to beauty to fitness to career, all of these different things, because I feel like that's how we add flavor to our lives, right? So how does Cyndie add flavor to her life? How does she make things spicy?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It's spicy.
And you can take it as you, you can
keep it
get as
clean.
creative as you want.
Keep it very clean. I will say truthfully that yoga is a big part of that, and if any of you have ever been to Tulum, that's a really big part of it.
Oh, I want to go.
You need to go.
Who's been to Tulum? Handful.
Yes.
Okay, I know everybody's talking about it,
Yeah,
but I feel like
yeah.
I need to get myself there. They've got these retreat properties,
Yeah.
and there's all these different healthy kind of
It's a place
options.
to go.
Okay, I'm
But
gonna
if
put that on my
can't,
list.
if you can't get there, I highly suggest day drinking with girlfriends.
Now, what? Oh, cheers! Where's our cheers? Okay.
Because nothing feels like
Have another mimosa.
you've cheated life, like having a cocktail at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday.
Also,
Yes, this is my life.
can I just say though that like when we were thinking of how we were going to have this event series look, we've done a bunch of different ways. We've done an all-day thing. We've done evening things. It was like, do we need to do a happy hour? Do we need to do after work? And I was like, what do people like to do in their spare time? And well, brunch. I mean, that's obvious. And so that was an easy option for us. And I'm very, very happy that your spiciness
support
carries
that,
over into what
sister.
we're doing here.
When you say with your clients and your friends, like, I want to be real, like, in a loving way, like, can you give me an
Sure.
example with a client of, like, you being, like, harsh but empathetic and how that furthered them?
Yes. I have a client who makes banners. She does different party things. And they're beautiful. And she's got a huge following on
Is that
social.
the
I don't
banner?
want to say who it is.
Oh, okay, sorry.
But yes. But a huge following
Only because
on
I
social-
love her work.
Well, this is the thing. So I love her work,
Yeah.
and I love her personally, and she's also in the collective. But one of the things on our strategy calls was I was like, listen, you've got this amazing thing going for you, but you're lacking you in it. So for a long time, she was sort of, and the way she referenced it, she wrote this blog post about the collective, and one of the things she said was how she was peddling like lollipops and something else, and everything was pink. She's incredibly sassy. She's foul-mouthed when she wants to be. But that wasn't the authentic thing that was coming through on her brand. And from somebody who's relatively successful to hear that what they're selling isn't authentically who they were wasn't easy, And it took her a lot of like really digging in and saying, right. Because I'm like, what are you selling? What are you selling? Because who you are, who I know you to be, is not what I see in your Instagram feed.
It's so, it's really hard though
Yeah,
to
really
differentiate.
tough.
I mean, most of my clients we're working on creating a strong personal brand.
Yes.
And so it's not necessarily about the entrepreneurial part of things,
Sure.
though of course that often is a component. But even some of my clients who aren't an entrepreneur, but who work full-time somewhere, or they work part-time, or maybe I have a client actually right now she's a full-time mom, but she's an online influencer, and she really wants to have this cohesion across everything that she does. And there were many parts of what she was doing that she felt like weren't her, and she
Right.
flat out said that. And I'm like, well, then that's at least a great place to start.
Yeah.
At least we can identify that doesn't feel like it's resonating somehow. Let's dig in and figure out what does work. And exploring that together has been cool, because it's now, I think, really woven into so much of what she does and puts out there. But it can be tricky, because we do feel sometimes like there's, you should be a certain way
Right.
if you're
Right.
selling a certain thing, or if you're
Yes.
working as a certain someone. And that I think it's okay to pull that personality into it as much as possible. Good question. Yeah, we've got one over here.
I guess my question is, for a lot of us, we're doing two things. So for a lot of us, we're doing our blogs on the side, or event planning businesses, just from talking to people in the room, styling, things like that, and we're working full time. So first off, it's nice to have a community like this, because a lot of people in our lives don't understand. So they're like, I can't go for drinks, I can't do
Yeah.
this, I can't go to that party, I need that Saturday. My biggest, I guess, fear, which I'm trying to let go of, is when do you know? Like, when do you know it's time to say, okay, I can transition, I can do it? Like, I feel like it's never coming, but when it's there, like, when do you know to finally seize that moment? I mean, anyone in the room,
What would you say? So the question, to reiterate, make sure I get it okay and we have it on the audio, is when do you know how to make the transition from
Right, to the brand you're building.
Uh-huh.
And when do you know, this is it, this is a success.
When your side hustle is your main hustle?
Okay.
Yeah, right?
that's what when do you make your side hustle your main hustle? So what do you say, Cyndie?
Also I would add to that is sometimes you can't do that initially. And for, like I said with my experience, I just quit, but that's also kind of the way I suppose I handle life in general. Like, I don't mean I quit.
As she stands up and walks out, bye.
Done here. No, I don't mean I quit life in general, but I generally
Yeah, no.
tend to go to the extreme.
You wanted to
Just do
go all
or
in
nothing.
right away, whereas
Yeah.
I transitioned. I mean,
Yeah.
for me it was 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago. So it's been a while, but I did work really hard on my side hustle at the time, not even really fully knowing that I wanted it to be my main hustle. But when it got to that point, I knew there was I could see the resistance. I could see the jumping off point, and that was what I worked toward. And honestly, I think having someone like a mentor or a
Yeah.
coach or someone who, not even necessarily just a peer, though peers are great, obviously, and I would not be able to do anything that I do without my peers and colleagues and friends, but having someone that can kind of guide you through that, partially because it's good to have a kick in the pants sometimes, but also because there's so many questions, there's so many logistics that it can be great to have guidance through that. So it's different for everyone, honestly.
And I wasn't suggesting that you quit. But
Yeah, well, no, but honestly, either way works.
but-
So maybe I might suggest that you quit. I don't know your specific situation, but it just really depends on. I don't know that there is really any one easily identifiable point per se.
But with that said, I feel like, and this is I guess where I was with the teacher training too, was that you have to give yourself enough space in your own head to get really clear about what you want.
Great-
And for me,
great
it was
point.
kind of having that moment where I was like, you know what, I'm done. What am I going to sit this out for? I'm going to go in tomorrow and I'm going to leave my job because I had enough clarity
Great,
within
yeah.
myself to know that I wasn't going to get any further. And this was it. And I think when you have that moment with yourself, and that's not something that anybody else can ever tell you. That comes from here.
I have had some honest conversations with my business coach, who has helped me figure out things that I would never have come to rest on my own. And so I think it's having these, kind of these internalized conversations, with the people in your life and being honest with yourself are so, so important. Can I introduce you really fast?
Oh, sure.
So, actually, you introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Lorelai.
This is Lorelai, and she is from Poppin', and she is who brought our darling little leather-bound notebooks for today and our pens, and we are so happy to have her here, both as a human who's wonderful, but also as someone who's representing a brand that we absolutely adore.
Yeah, Poppins are all about empowering women and helping women find what they want to do and have really cute stuff.
Have really cute stuff on their desks. Yeah, it's so much easier to do great things when you've got a great desk all set up with pretty colors and good supplies. I mean, I'm not actually very kidding at all. I'm totally serious. So anyways, what's your question, darling?
So, okay, something that I've found to be true in New York is there's all these things I really want to learn how to do and all these people that I want to have as mentors. And I find that a lot of the time, I know that people, it's their business to consult for creatives, but as someone who can't really afford to pay someone to learn or to be, I just was looking for an apprenticeship or someone that I could watch and learn from. And it's really hard to find someone who you don't have to pay to learn from. I was wondering if you have any suggestions for people who can't necessarily afford to hire a consultant or to pay to take classes. Do you have any suggestions on who to look to or how to ask
That's a
someone?
great question, and I get asked that a lot. Reach out to some of the people that you're interested in maybe spending more time with. Definitely would hope that being in a place like this, you'd be able to chat with some women that might also be interested in, whether it's meeting regularly aside from a time like this. I have someone that I hire, but then I also consume a lot of great free content from a lot of the people that I admire in any area of life, but specifically if it's entrepreneurship, there's newsletters, there's people Cyndie's got a great blog. Do you do a newsletter too?
I should get
Her
better
blog
at
is amazing, but I know that sounds like maybe a more passive way to learn, but truly I think that's how I kind of started learning myself, really, when I first started figuring things out. And we'd love to have you on our newsletter. I don't write that much about entrepreneurship there, but I try to always provide, encouragement and a place for resources if there's anything specific. I have had both of my employees now start as apprenticeship type situations where, not to be presumptuous and say that by helping, they're receiving all kinds of this like valuable knowledge. But I do like showing them what goes on behind the biz, you know, and now they're both in regular paid positions with me, but little Sarah right over here has been with me for 2 years, just about.
So, yeah.
And it started out, she reached out, actually, do you mind if I tell the story? She reached out just randomly and said, I'd love to work with you, and she's a photographer. She said, I'd love to take photos for you. Is there anything we could do together, collaborate? And I did have something that I was like, yeah, absolutely. And so it worked out really well, and that was how we met. We shot some projects together, and then, you know, we hit it off, and I realized how valuable she was, and having her around has been amazing. And then now we've got Leah too, who's somewhere as well. There she is. So anyway, I think there are totally ways. And the other thing too, I think, is connecting, because actually there was a woman here who, at our last brunch, who was looking for an employee. She was looking for someone to hire, and she was so excited because she felt like even just showing up at brunch, she met a few people that were looking for part-time work in a creative industry, and she's an entrepreneur, and she met some gals that I don't know what ended up happening. She's not here today, otherwise I'd ask her. But so I think just kind of trying to stay plugged in and talking to as many people as you can. Yeah.
It's like something that my old boss used to tell me is.
But will you roll yourself over here so that you're closer to the microphone?
Oh yeah.
This is Kat. She's
Literally rolling yourself
Kat's
over.
one of our original Pepper girls. And she's one of my dear friends, and I know what she's gonna say is gonna be valuable.
So like when I get what you're saying in the sense of like, well, you can't have money or you don't have the funds, but I think part of that is like a conversation with yourself. Like if you are worth what you're really seeking, like you will find a way, whether it's, you know, like because people's time is valuable, you know, and like you're asking for something from them, so you want to take something essentially, which is fine, but like if all day long I'm like giving out and meeting with people that want to meet with me, then I'm not actually chasing my dreams. And that's part of why you're wanting to spend time with someone, is to like see that in action. So I always like, before I email anyone that I'm like, gosh, this person would just be amazing to get to know, like what can I offer them? You know, like what can I give them instead of just like taking? Because I know I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have like awesome mentorships or people that hired me when I had very little to offer. So I think like if it's really, really worth it, like you'll figure out a way. Like
I love the idea of
Yeah.
offering something too,
Yeah.
and that's essentially what Sarah did when she first reached out, and she said, I'd love to, you know, photograph something for you, and that's a great point. And I think also it provides a good picture of the fact that you really are invested in, and you're not just saying like, hey, I'd love to pick your brain, or hey, da 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 da. You're saying, I'd love to get to know you and actually like make this a relationship that could be mutually beneficial somehow. And I had another thought while Kat was talking, actually, shameless plug, but I mean, even thinking about perhaps having someone who could come in and talk to Poppin as a company or something, maybe could be a fun way to you know, learn more in like an in-depth setting. Cyndie and I would be more than happy to come do that, and we can totally, you know, do some type of workshop, or group learning is actually another thing that I think is happening more and more, and is way, way more affordable as well. That's a good question, though. I love that.
Just to add to
Yeah.
that quickly, first of all, that's exactly what I was going to say, Kat, was offer something.
Uh-huh.
I have my assistant that I work with now must have emailed me 5 times, not in an annoying way.
Uh-huh.
I always try to respond even
Yeah.
if it's weeks later, but I found what worked really well was she offered me something.
That's
and
great.
she also offered credibility. You know, here's my website, here's what I do.
Ah.
I follow you, I love your vibe, she was very specific in her email, like this
She'd
is the
done her
vibe you have on
research.
Instagram, this is, yeah, she had done her research. So she didn't just, and I often get these emails like, could you write for this, or could I speak to you for that? She was super specific, and I think if you really show interest in the person that you're reaching out to and offer them something up in return, they would authentically want to at least speak with you or respond to you.
Yeah, I love that. And I just have to say one other thing, and then I see our giveaways are done, and I want to let Francesca has one question, so we'll have that. Do you have a question?
Just a comment.
Oh, add your comment, girl.
Well, I was just wanting to comment on Kat too. I think it also comes down to a question of like, what's your commitment to? What's your commitment
What's
to
your
yourself
commitment?
or business, as well as your commitment to what you would be offering to somebody else. Which is
That's great.
if you're willing to take that step in a commitment, you will make anything happen financially.
Great
your
point.
Resources left and right. So
Yeah.
if it comes down to a financial thing, you know, how can you pick up some part-time work? How can you do this? Like, give yourself a budget so that you're invested
to really take that step and take her dreams to that next level.
Yeah.
Because she and I did actually very like, the same accountability kind of
Uh-huh.
structure program, and what we were able to create in 4 months, just being committed to those dreams and having
Yeah.
a group and a mentor and somebody that's really telling you, hey, these are your deadlines, constantly questioning you. I mean, yeah, it's an investment.
Accountability is big. That's a good point too.
And that can take what you're doing, accelerate it like you can never even imagine. You will be so surprised what you're able to do, how many different things you're able to do at one time.
Yeah. Funny story about the commitment piece though too is I actually, when I first started hiring someone to help me as a consultant, meaning I was paying them for their knowledge and their expertise and their feedback, I remember being like, okay, it costs this much dollars. These are some other dollars that I spend in a similar amount in other areas of life. Do I need to get my hair cut this month, or do I want to push forward? I know that sounds like a weird combination or a weird trade-off, but there are areas of my life that I could and did trim back because I was like, I want this really badly. Yeah, we'll take one less.
Just on that note, I was wondering about, I feel like a lot of us are focusing on our side hustle so much that sometimes you forget to enjoy the main hustle.
Yeah.
For me, it took a long time to get a main hustle that I really enjoy, and in a place where I can learn a lot. But I think 15 years at Coach, or how many years at Coach?
15 years in fashion.
In fashion.
6 years at Coach, yeah.
6 years at Coach, I mean, could you do what you do now without that experience?
Absolutely
and who did you
not.
have as a mentor?
That's
and
great,
can
yeah.
you reach out to people within your organization and buy them a cup of coffee because they're the head of product or the head of creative?
Such a good point.
And how did they get to
Did everyone
where
hear?
they are? Yeah. So just, I mean, I think that the main career, we're thinking so much about how can we do exactly what we love,
Right.
but enjoy that journey
Exactly.
and learn from the people who have gotten to where they wanted to be.
That's such a good point to end on is, enjoy what you're doing now as much as you can and really see the value in that no matter, where you end up or, who you end up, most of the time the things that we've already been through have really shaped us in ways that, in the moment we may not appreciate, but I would say even the jobs that I've had that have been the least fun, and that's putting it nicely, have absolutely been things that I would not be able to run my business the way that I do today if it weren't for those things. So, and then one last thing that I do want to share, many of you know this because we've probably interacted in this way at some point, but if you ever have a business question or a life question, you are more than welcome to email me, and what I do is I will respond via voice, just because it's more time friendly, and so you'll get basically, I send a little voice file back to you. I can kind of connect people that are working on the same things, and that's always a really big honor as well. So here's the important announcement about our next event. Next month for April, we're doing things a little bit differently because we're doing a dinner. The tricky thing is,
Just mentioned
so here's the thing. Because of logistics and timing and space, we're going to have it at a restaurant. And so the size is going to be significantly smaller. We only have room for, we need to determine the final numbers, but it'll be maybe a third or a fourth of the amount of people that are here today. Tickets are on sale now. And I'll say the URL, but then you can also find it through, I'll send around the link in the recap email that I always send around to everyone that was here today. The link is just bit.ly/pepperdinner. And that'll take you to the website, and the tickets are there, so that'll be really fun. And we're gonna it's gonna be very interactive, so that's how it'll also be different. There's not gonna be one expert. It's gonna be much more of a conversation. Since we'll have a smaller group, we're gonna try a little bit of a different format. And then we'll go back to normal brunch format for May 3rd. Oh, sorry, the dinner is April 16th. It's a Thursday night. We'll start at 6:30, or drinks at 6:30, dinner at 7, so give people a chance to get there after work, and it'll be in Manhattan. The brunch, back to brunch in May, will be May 3rd, Sunday, May 3rd. And should I announce our expert for that?
Yeah.
Okay. The theme for May is strong body, strong mind. And our expert is Robin Arzon, her handle would be the first place I would send you on social media to check her out. It's Robin NYC, ROBIN. And she She's an attorney turned professional street athlete. How badass is that? And she like runs and bikes around the city and actually around the world. She was just in Tokyo. She does all of these cool trips and does races professionally, and she's sponsored, and she also is the lead trainer for Peloton, the indoor cycling brand. And so she's fabulous, and she has some really great stories. She is going to be just so amazing to have in May. And so that you'll be able to sign up. That's not available to be signed up for quite yet, but that'll be in the recap link too. So make sure you open that email once you get it from me. Thank you so much for coming. That's it from us today. Thanks for joining us for this conversation. Cyndie, let's give you a round of applause. And I'd love to chat with you more. You're welcome to, let's see, we actually do need to pretty much wrap up soon, but
I'll have to go.
but thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you guys.
I didn't realize how long we went.